This program is designed to give you a working knowledge of how to produce a play with an amateur cast. The cast might be a dramatic society, a school, or any group of like-minded people. For the purposes of this video, we shall call them the group or the society. We do not pretend that this is the only way to produce competent results, nor is it necessarily the best way. There are as many ways to produce a play as there are producers. What we do say is that this is a method we have used and which has consistently produced good results. We use the term producer play rather than director play because our experience in the amateur theatre has shown that these two very different tasks in the professional theatre are generally the responsibility of the producer-director on the amateur stage. All productions start with this, the script. How one arrives at this particular play from the thousands available is a mystery known only to the group concerned. You, as the producer, may have had little or no influence on the final choice. If that is so, hopefully it will be one that you will enjoy producing. But if you are asked to give some parameters on the chosen play, here are three obvious, but I can assure you, often forgotten and important considerations. 1. Can you cast it? It's of little use choosing a play with 12 young men in it if you only have 3 old men in your society. And 2, will it fit onto the stage at your venue? A big cast and a large, complicated set on a small stage can ruin the most creative production. 3, can you afford it? Period costumes, sets, special effects and props could make your play a financial loss before the curtain opens. If the society or group hasn't given you a budget, you work out how much you can realistically take at the box office and have your own budget to work to. Remember, there are no bouquets for the producer of a spectacular show who financially ruins the society. Having listed these 3 important rules, if you find a play that you think should be done and it doesn't meet any of these requirements, then remember, if there is the will, anything is possible. If the society can't cast it, have a recruiting drive until you can. If the stage is too small, hire a portable stage to enlarge it, or move to a new venue. If you can't afford it, raise money to subsidize the show, or on those very special occasions like a Golden Jubilee, decide if the society can afford it to take a predicted loss. But beware. So now we have a play, a probable cast, a suitable venue, an adequate budget, and you are ready and willing to see the project through to that first night. Now the work begins. I'm assuming that other members of your group will take care of tasks such as copyright, insurance, advertising, programs, etc., leaving you to get on with the artistic construction and discipline of the show.
Oh no, sexy Rexy, you are in great danger of becoming a dirty old man, you know.
Get all those interested in auditioning for the play to gather in an informal group. Have enough copies of the script for each member of a scene to have a copy. It is usual at this point for the producer to give a rough idea of the way he sees the characters, but don't be too precise. Leave plenty of room for the cast to experiment. Keep the reading informal and relaxed. It's not an audition, and for new members, make that clear. Ask for volunteers to read various parts, but make sure that all who want to read get the opportunity, and change the parts regularly. The read-through has many useful functions. It gives the cast an opportunity to read the play in front of others and try out comic timing and accents. It gives new, inexperienced members an opportunity to read out loud, perhaps for the first time in front of others. Of course, it gives you the opportunity to listen to the script spoken by a wide variety of people, who you may not know, with different styles, accents and ages. Many producers have left a read-through with a completely different concept of the play, or at least food for thought.
Be a devil.
A producer used to say before auditions, for the next 2 hours, all friendships and relationships cease. Easy to say, difficult to achieve. but you must try. You won't be helped by the myriad of rules, regulations and audition committees which have over the years evolved around this emotive subject. But if you're a school or a new group without any rules, I advise you to keep it simple. Always try to audition with a small audience, even if that only consists of the other members of your group. It is easier to play a part with an audience to react to, and most players respond by producing a performance rather than a dead reading. The way an actor responds to an audience should be of great interest to you. Wonderful performers are not necessarily great actors. So watch carefully for those who light up in front of an audience. They perhaps won't necessarily have the best accents or the most perfect memory, but they have presence. Audiences look and listen to them. Lucky people. Have friends or colleagues, one male and one female, to act as readers, rather than having more than one auditioning at the same time. This way you see each auditioner working with the same people under the same conditions. Encourage the audience to react and applaud, and do so yourself. Auditions are nerve-wracking ordeals, and everyone deserves some applause and encouragement, whether they did well or not. Have your assistant producer or a member of the opposite sex to help and advise you in the choice of casting. It's always helpful to have a view from the opposite gender. Don't be too impressed with costumes, props and self-production. Auditions are only a rough interpretation of the part. So beware of a finished, polished product that may be difficult to change if it doesn't fit in with your overall production ideas. Ask all those auditioning to agree that if they're not chosen for the part that they audition for, they will accept another part in the production. This saves you the problem of all the talented members auditioning for one part and you being left with the less talented members for the rest of the cast. One cannot afford to lose talented people. Accept complete responsibility for the choice of cast. This is the cornerstone of production. If you have chosen right, things should go well. If not, it could be difficult and unsuccessful. As quickly as possible after the auditions, have a read-through with the cast, making decisions on accents, relationships, and your style. It's important that this is done early before people start to learn lines and get them fixed in their heads. It's often harder work to unlearn things than to learn them. Before we start rehearsals on the floor, let us have a look at one or two basic stage terms. The opening, where the audience look onto the stage, is known as the proscenium arch, or pros arch. Where there is no proscenium arch, and the audience sit on all sides, this is known as theatre in the round. Stage directions are always given from the actor's point of view. So this is stage left, and this is right. That's upstage, and down here at the front is downstage. Called up and down for a very good reason, in that many stages are rate from back to front. These are stage curtains, or tabs. There can be other sets of tabs behind these in various different colours. Any areas in front of the tabs are known as the thrust or apron. There are many colourful terms for various backstage tasks. In fact, the complications of backstage craft, sound, lighting would be the subject for 3 or 4 videos. At the first rehearsal on the floor, you will need a reference for the set or sets. A model would be ideal, or a drawing, no matter how rough. It is difficult for people to imagine a set from just a description. Set out the rehearsal stage using chairs and tables to imitate the items on the set. Set 2 chairs to show each exit. Try and measure the area you are using as closely as possible to the stage you will be performing on. If the scripts have been hired, it is essential that they are not permanently marked, as they will have to be cleaned when they're sent back. Ask all the cast to bring a soft pencil and take a few extra pencils yourself. Someone will be sure to forget. If the scripts are brought by an individual or group, it is still a good idea to mark them only with pencil. At this first movement rehearsal, or blocking in rehearsal, make sure that all your instructions are written down by the actor concerned. Don't accept, "Oh, I'll remember that." This advice goes doubly for your script. Get everything written down and get your assistant producer to duplicate all the instructions in their script. Remember, amateur actors have to work during the day, so rehearsals are by necessity short. So make sure that you arrive having done all you can beforehand. Don't have open-ended rehearsals. Have definite start and finish times. People pace themselves if they know how long they have to concentrate, and it also gives you a discipline to work to. Have all the moves clearly marked in your script and any ideas written down. Nothing is guaranteed to bring the enthusiasm of a rehearsal to a dead stop than having to stand around waiting while the producer wallows around changing his mind. I really have no confidence in producers who like to do it off the top of their head. No matter how well you can do it off the cuff, you must do it far better with forethought and planning. Producers use all sorts of aids to help them plot moves around a set before working with the actors. Everything from Subbuteo model footballers to one producer who told me that I'd been a Red Indian, one of his children's toys. But no matter what aids you use, people are not as easy to move around, so be flexible. There are two basic ways to block in the moves. Set as much as you can in one go, just ensuring that all the moves are written down. Or set a small amount, say 10 minutes, and then run through it to check them. Move on to another 10-minute segment, and so on. When all the play is blocked in, then true rehearsals can begin. The amount of rehearsals with the book depends on the timescale of the performance. But generally, it is better and easier to rehearse without having a book in the hand, particularly if the play has a lot of physical action in it, referred to on the stage as business. Try to have a schedule to rehearse the play evenly so that all scenes from the first to the last have the same amount of rehearsal time. Don't end up having to rush the last and possibly the most important scene because of the lack of a schedule. I've seen so many amateur plays that have deteriorated after the first act because of this common fault. Generally, casts will take as long to learn a script as you give them. So make a positive timetable and state when particular scenes of the play will be rehearsed without the books. And no matter what excuses are given, stick to it. A little embarrassment can goad people onto greater efforts.
As an executive in the rubber factory, my job requires...
Make sure at this stage that the prompt or prompts are present. It is important that the prompt marks any set pauses and the cast get used to the prompt. The only pauses there should be are those you have agreed to. Any others need a prompt. One small point about prompts. Make sure that they don't try to save the cast blushes by whispering. The prompt should speak out loud and clear. One loud prompt is better than 3 or 4 mumbled ones. When the cast eventually put down their books, you must expect the rehearsal to drop in the standard of acting. Most of the actors' concentration at this stage goes into remembering the next line rather than acting. But eventually people do learn their lines. But now, having their hands free, they will often not know what to do with them, and irritating gestures and unnatural movements will start to appear. In these cases, you must correct the actor immediately. It doesn't matter how superbly you act if no one hears you. One of the most common failings in amateur productions is simply you can't hear. So insist from the first rehearsal that everyone acts as if they're in a large hall, no matter what the size of the rehearsal rooms. If you can, sit well away from the acting area so that the cast must project to you. Try not to set your actors speaking upstage if possible, but if you must, impress upon them that the volume will need to be twice as loud. Equally, it is just as wrong for actors always to say their lines to the front. Show them how to trick a line to the front by starting the line, talking to the side, and turning to the front during it. Ask someone who is not familiar with the script to listen at a rehearsal. Remember, you and the assistant producer know the script so well you will understand it. But the test is, can a stranger hear and understand? It is important to impress upon the cast that they must act off the line. That is to say, just because they haven't anything to say, it doesn't mean that they can relax. They must listen and react to the other actors. The actor will laugh at the lines in a comedy, called on stage corpsing. Get all these giggles out of the way during the early rehearsals and insist, as far as one can, that a high degree of discipline is shown. We want the audience to laugh, not us. Unusual items of costume, swords, hats, spectacles, wigs, and even long skirts. The cast will benefit from the familiarity of using them regularly during rehearsals. If the cast have ideas for production, as an enthusiastic cast will, do listen carefully and judge the idea on its merit. And don't be afraid if it's a good idea to incorporate it in the production. Your job is to produce the best possible play, no matter whose ideas they are. But remember, your decisions must be final. Don't use up valuable rehearsal time discussing props, costumes and scenery. Put aside time where these important considerations can be fully explored.
And now we come to the dress rehearsal, the most important rehearsal of all. The dress rehearsal is just that. The set is dressed, the people are dressed, and everything is as it should be for that first night. Make sure that props, wardrobe, makeup and scenery all know that you expect everything to be ready for the dress rehearsal, and make sure that they're committed to that date.
You should have seen the cast in their costumes, but with stage lighting and against a coloured set, there may be problems. So if possible, try to set these conditions up earlier than the dress rehearsal. You haven't much time to put things right now. Dress rehearsals are, of course, for the cast. But before that, a great deal of the effort on that important day must go to the technical details, such as lighting, sound effects and scene changes. And then a whole run-through before the dress rehearsal with the actors, just performing in sequence all the lighting and sound effect areas, which will hopefully solve any difficulties before the dress rehearsal proper. The cast must be there for the technical rehearsal, and there will be interruptions and just straightforward mistakes. Things that would have gone straightforward in the rehearsals with chairs as props and scenery don't always work quite so well with the actual equipment. The rule is, if it can go wrong, it probably will. So be prepared to compromise. If a pet piece of mechanical business doesn't work and it's not essential, don't waste valuable time desperately trying to make it work. Cut your losses and scrap it. If it's essential, of course, then you've got to make it work. Warn people that they will be standing about waiting. I have found it's unavoidable. You can make the most detailed timetable, but the fact is some things will go better than anticipated and will finish early, and other things will take longer. So if everybody is there all the time, you can move on to the next stage as soon as you're ready to. Explain this way of working and how they will be bored and underused. People will accept it and make provision for it. They'll bring knitting, books and all sorts of diversions, even portable TVs. But if you promise that things will happen at a certain time and they don't, irritation will set in. The one person you can be absolutely sure will be fully utilized is you. Remember that all the people involved in the production will be getting tense at this late stage in the production. Tempers and tears can be the rule rather than the exception. It will help if you can be a calm but firm influence at this time. The atmosphere of the rehearsal will largely depend on you, so don't add to the tension by letting your own natural anxieties show. Keep it cool. A sobering thought. If for any reason a member of the cast cannot appear, you are the logical choice to go on with the book, unless you're lucky enough to persuade people to understudy. Once the play is underway, you will be redundant. Don't keep going backstage to give new production during the run. you must let go. By all means, after the first performance, tidy up any loose ends with the cast and always be available if there are any problems. However, you do have certain responsibilities during the run of the play. Ensure that the cast are always there half an hour before curtain up, or if they're only in the second act, half an hour before the interval. This is little enough time to organise a replacement if an accident occurs, or they run out of petrol, or have a puncture, or one of the 1,000 things that can occur. See that the cast do not appear up front in makeup and costume, or peep through the curtains. In fact, generally ensure that the performance is as tight and disciplined on the last performance as it was on the first. Last night gags may be funny to some, but are generally not appreciated by a hard-working principal performer or the audience. Performing on stage is a difficult enough task for amateurs without adding to their problems with practical jokes. So this is it, the first night. The audience are filtering in. This play is being presented as part of a supper theatre in a large hotel. This first night will be doubly difficult, as it is also the first night of a new play, Small's Talk, written especially for this video. As soon as those curtains open, there is nothing that you as the producer-director can do, so just try and sit back and relax, if you can.
She says she's all right now. I told you about her. Her husband left her last Christmas and she's not been out since.
Oh, this sounds like it's going to be an absolute riot. Honestly, I went out with this new bloke from work last night, Kevin. I thought he was really nice, considerate, you know. But he's funny. Soon as a bloke finds out you're divorced, something comes over them. You can see it in their eyes. She's desperate. Quite right, of course. I'm seeing him again tomorrow. Talk about an octopus. Oh, I wish I could find a real man.
Linda, where's my black socks?
Don't we all do, don't we?
These come in our Bambino range. They come in black, white, aquamarine, taupe, magenta and plain. They come with a full stretch gusset and bigger side panels.
When we were babies during the war, we didn't have the chance to get fat. There wasn't enough food about from that, I can tell you. Still, you made that pretty sick.
Some of us don't have one at all.
Right, look, forget about him. Buy yourself some sexy lady lace undies and get yourself a new fella.
Ah, yes. Now, those come under our Black Beauty range. I will be demonstrating those later.
Look, that's more your cup of tea. Black Beauty, you see. They'll fit all.
Well, I came back from a job.
Pour up you lot of nail finish. I've just got to do this. Right, now, let's see what you've sorted out.
Well, it is blonde wig.
Oh, I don't think so. Well, you don't know till you try it on, do you? Well, all right, then, come down. Well, it doesn't stand so good.
Well, I think it's nice, but I think she's going to need a bit more shape.
Yeah.
Where? In the bus. Allow me to present our Amazon. I thought they cut one off. Pardon?
Listen, I thought they cut it off so it didn't get in the way of my brother's marrow.
Yes, right. The Amazon line. If your lack of shape gets on your nerves, Lady Lace will give you curves.
What is she on about? If your figure is the pitch Lady Lace can give
say, hello, Kevin. What was that? Look, just imagine a tall, beautiful, sexy woman in the world and no man can resist you. Really? Yes. Well, hello there. You're a very sexy looking guy. Linda's a very lucky girl. Well, why not? I think I can do better than Kevin.
Well, it's all over now, and it seems to have been a success. I hope this video will help you with your future productions. Good night.